Nikki's just looking into...
Hi everyone, welcome back to my show, Beyond the Cover, with me, Andreia Santos, on Dreamcatcher Radio. It is my 31 episode. Can you believe that? Well, I know I can. I've been this far doing this show, and I started from not really expecting nothing, expecting to have not much listeners, and a sort of thing. And for those who are wondering, I haven't the last time with Lisa. I haven't answered the questions, but I want to answer the questions from the last week and this week. So for those who are listening, you came here for the first time. Hello, this is the Beyond the Cover, a show when I talk about books, literature, writing, and usually also you listen metal and gothic song. But today, because last week we finished how to write books for children. But today I'm going to touch on how to write books for young adults. So today is going to be probably musics. I used to listen, or perhaps I tried to find interesting songs as well for teenagers. Because I was asking last week for Lisa, what do teenagers listen nowadays? Because I have no clue, to be fair. I mean, for those who are just right now, you have so much variety. Not much in my time, because it has, but I think the music is very vastly different. Nothing is bad, but it's just very different of things I've done. And anyway, so with that, let's now go with the questions. So, for the last week, Michael from Steven H asks, what draw you to hosting a show about books? Was there a moment that you think, this is my lane? Well, Michael, here's the thing. I was not expecting this show to happen at all. This happened actually for a misunderstanding between me and Steve when I was talking about to participate in the show or not. So this is the truth, it was a misunderstanding, but I do not regret it, because I see many people are listening, are enjoying, and there are many authors out there that are publishing books, that are trying to publishing books, and that's really, really cool. And this show encourages those who are, stuck to let the stories out, to just go out and do that. And when I say go out, I don't necessarily mean that you need to go physically to a place, but you can, for example, when you wake up, let's say 6 o'clock every morning, every single day, you are showing out to the world. You are already doing what you think as a writer you must do, which is writing, of course. When the first thing is show writing. But yes, I wasn't expecting to host a show about books and literature. That come after the misunderstanding, and I do not regret it at all. I think my book really encouraged other writers to be themselves and to just go out and just let your book shine, let your story shine, because the world needs it. And that's pretty much my answer to you, Michael. There was no really reason, just as actually, funny enough, Bob Russell will say, a happy accident. So this wasn't a happy accident at the end of the day. And there it is. So, my next question is from Izzy from Doncaster. She asks, what do you think makes a great literary conversation on the radio? I think for me, as far as I have done with other authors, as you have know, I interviewed many, mostly indie self-publishing authors. And what makes it interesting is I can have a conversation with things I understand and the things I'm familiar with. And I can also learn from that perspective how things actually work. And also at the same time, those who are listening to me can actually as well learn how to do. For example, let's say that an author in UK tried to send their script for publishers out there. It was rejected. That's going to happen a lot. Rejection happens every single day in their lives. So they get a little bit, devastated. and it's not to be devastated because we're expecting some publisher to go with you and accept you instantly, but now it takes time, and it's probably many weeks going to take, and months even if necessary. So it's a process, and because of that, you have this option, which is self-publishing. And if you are thinking having your book self-published, my show grants you that information for free. If you think about it, you don't need to pay nothing from me, which I actually don't want it at all. I do this show because I love the books, literature, and the writing as well. And I'm also writing a series of books as well. I'm also writing a script for the radio station, so I have a lot to do in my hands. And with this, it's basically that. I can, with this show, have conversations with things that I am familiar with. And if I'm not familiar with, I got to investigate. An example for that would be, last week, people have now learned how to write books for children, for toddlers, for let me see now in my notes, because I'm going to do a recap what we have learned. So it's going to be for picture books, early reader books, also chapter books, middle grade books, and also all those was going to be for today's episode. And that's the beauty of my show. It's about all this stuff for free. You don't need to pay nothing, and you just learn as you go. Will I encourage people to go and do some courses? Absolutely, because it's extra info for your curriculum as well. So keep that in mind as well. It as an extra to your woo, and also as extra for me information for your brain as well. As a writer, you will learn as well. So easy. That's my answer. For me, what makes good delicious conversation on the radio is to actually learn, but also discuss about things, about books, literature, and writing. And I think that's really cool. And as Steve Little, our manager, said, my show is very unique because there is no shows in the radio out there that talks about this. So it makes it even more special. So I'm even prouder of that. So this is my show for you, Izzy. So Hannah from Liverpool asked, what's a book you wish more people to read? This is a question that implies for me to say this book is very good, you should check it out. However, I'm going to say it again, Hannah. Depends of your writing style, depends what genre do you like, depends who you are as a person. Let's say I encourage you to read The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I love this book. And the reason I like it is because it talks about Korean traditions and culture in our own perspective, which goes deeper and darker themes. I'll consider this like a horror genre. Do you like horror, Hannah? Perhaps you don't. Perhaps you know. And this is why when questions like this, what's the book you wish more people will read? I do not like to answer that question because it really means a lot who you are again and what genre do you like. For example, if you will say, what books of, fantasy genre would you recommend people to read? Sure, I will answer that question because, like say, many people are listening to me and they like the genre of Tolkien or even dark fantasy, grim dark fantasy, for example. I will recommend, absolutely. Even if I haven't read it yet, I could just go out there on internet and see this book sounds interesting. It is, according to some reviews, in my very interesting topics people will be diving into. This is an example, of course. So, to answer the question, yes, again, depends who you are as a person. Depends what your genre that you like. Again, I give the example of The Vegetarian by Hong Kong to say to you what the book is about, what genre it is, and if you don't like it, then it's not going to be for you. So, you see why I consider these questions, it's a very good question, but it's not specific enough for me to give another specific information. I hope this makes sense, Hannah. So, now the questions for this week is Steve from Wimbledon. He says, I am a publishing author. I have written 5 books. Any suggestions on how to get a book published? That depends. For what I have gotten information, Steve, you have to find You have to find, first of all, an agent which is going to grant you a possibility to have your book to a publisher. You definitely have to have an agent. That's what you need to do. If you go to the traditional route, of course. With an agent, you also have to have someone who's going to read your book, point out the potholes, mischaracterization, parts that you need to improve, check your grammar and spelling, because I have to do that, etc., etc., which is a better reading, and etc., right? You need to have this stuff. And once you've got your agent, they're just going to try to negotiate with the publisher. And then after that, you have to wait. You can wait weeks and months. Because remember, your agent, also in your agent, you have, pardon me, if you specifically go to offer an agent, Steve, read what they are after and what kind of format they want you to do for the cover letter. Because you have to do a cover letter to say, first of all, they're going to just ask you for a specific number of your script. You have to do that. And also then you have to sell yourself, which is basically what you have to do. And that will take some time. Some agents might say no, some might say yes, but then you have to wait. Once they say yes, is about a question of waiting. But this is what you need to do, Steve. I'm going to say it again. Find someone who can read your story, and you make sure that everything is right, that you feel comfortable as a author, you feel comfortable what you have. After that, find an agent, see if the agent is compatible with the themes that you are also writing. For example, pardon me, my goodness, you may writing a romance. See if that romance is compatible with your agent. If it is, reach them out, read the information they have, write your covering letter with the information they want you to, and then even if they don't answer for, let's say, 1 week or so, find another one. It's okay. Just don't bother. Just keep looking. If you want to go to a usual route for publishing, this is the usual route you have to do. And after that, of course, when you find your agent, you just have to wait, because the agent is going to try to reach out to the publisher and talk about your book. If it is for self-publishing, keep in mind that you are going to do the advertisement of your book. You have to do probably the cover of your book. You can have people going to illustrate your book. You can do that. Definitely, I would still recommend that to support real artists out there. Please don't use AI. I know it's very tempting because it costs so little, and please consider that, because artists out there are struggling as well, and with this stupidity of the AI trying to infiltrate it in the creativity, which should have no place whatsoever. It's abysmal. It just feels unnatural, and it's not the right thing to do. That is for me personally. And that, as well, like the self-publishing, have someone that actually can read your book. And then with this, when you feel the book is right, you have to advertise yourself. It's going to have a certain cost, but keep in mind, it's your choice. I hope this answered your question, Steve, but thank you so much for the question. So, Naomi from Anglesey asks, love your passion for books. I really enjoy your show. I wonder, can you remember a book you started reading and could never get into, and your reasons why? Ooh, this question, Naomi. What can I say about this? Let me see if I can remember or try. I don't know. I think one that I started to read, this is a Chinese fantasy historical author, by the way, Thousand of Athens, by, I think it's Man Xingji, I think is her name. I really could not stop reading that. This is a series, by the way, because the concept of about what makes it good and evil, and if a good person could turn evil as well. So these are here internal conflicts of two protagonists. Well, one more protagonist than the other, but two nonetheless. They have two conflicted sides about the world, about things that happen, And I think that the theme is very interesting to explore. And I think this is why I couldn't stop reading the book. And also, I think the way the author also brings the characters to life, I think, is very interesting. Because one is a former Taoist and the other is like a demon cultivator. So it's basically someone that practices forbidden arts, if you, for like a sort of a bad term. And as you can see, these are already conflicted ideologies. And there's some romance going on between them as well. It's a complicated one. Personally, I think it's very fascinating. This is one of example, of course, I'm giving you, Naomi. So there you have it. So Jenny from Liverpool says, I've been listening to your show now for the past few weeks. I really enjoyed your show with Lisa. It was fascinating understanding the relationship of books and the mental health. Can I ask your favorite author? Well, Naomi and Jenny as well, because Jenny said she also liked my show. I will want to thank you guys to say that. We really ups my mood. So I really thank you so much for that. Yes, the interview with this was really interesting because it was actually my idea. Because I think there's a very good connection between mental health and books and creativity. There is certainly a connection. If you are interested, Jenny, you can. I think you can go to YouTube. And for my interview with one of the presenters, which is Kim and Carl, about mental health and creativity, which I think it's such an interesting interview as well. And I'll talk with professionals as well. And Lisa is one of the presenters that brings that positivity and brings the, that conversation of all that. So I think it was very interesting. Now, favorite author. Wow, there's plenty of authors I like. I'm going to give 3 examples because there's plenty of them. For example, I like Sherry Priest, which is a very good author that she wrote about steampunk. As you have known, steampunk is one of my favorite genres as well. I also like Ballad of Swords and Wine by Tang Jin King. I think it's how you pronounce her name. I don't know if it's a Chinese people listening, but I'm very sorry if I am, pronouncing badly the names of people. But yes, there's an author I actually like as well, and I'm still reading as well. And so far, yes, the Ballad of Swords and Wine is historical fantasy, and a bit different. I also like the classics of Gothic genre as well. For example, Shirley Jackson, we have Always Live in the Castle, Susan Wheel, The Woman in Black. And for example as well, Walpole, The Castle of Otranto. It's very old, but it's actually the beginning of the Gothic genre. So yes, Jenny, this is my examples of every author. You can see I don't have one, I have some. And lastly, we have Debbie from Andover. And she says, I can only write under trees. I can't explain why, but it's a safe place. I'm just about to publish my first book. Debbie, congratulations. Well, I have to clap, but this is really good news. So, yeah, Debbie, congrats. Go forward, girl. You got it. You got this. Called Safe Places by Debbie Rail. Interesting title. Called Safe Places. Oh, wow. Interesting title. And so, and she says, being released the end of March. Oh, Debbie, can I invite you for my show to an interview? Because now I'm very interested to know about that book. It doesn't matter if it is let's say, self-published or no, or the genre. I just want to invite you to my book. Can we have an interview, the 2 of us? If you reach out for Dreamcatcher Radio, I think it's .co.uk, and write down to have a conversation. We would like to interview you. And she also asks, do you have a place you typically write? Well, at the moment, Debbie, I write on my house. Not specific place, because this is a flat studio. It's like bathroom, kitchen, all together. So it's a very small place, but it's my place that I write my story. And that's pretty much it that I write. So, thank you so much for Michael, Izzy, Hannah, Steve, Naomi, Jenny, and Debbie for our questions and also observations. I really enjoyed to listen to. So thank you. And for those who are listening, please come up with ideas. And if you are a published author, let us know. Let us know how you deal with it, and let us know and ask questions as well, and also offer advice. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be only just me. It can also be you. So now, because we are going to talk about. But before that, we're going to listen to our first. Let's go back to be teenagers again, because what we're trying to learn today. It's this week is how to write books for teenagers, and let's go back a little bit a kid again. So I thought to go back and listen to some anime series. So for my first song, I want to introduce a Japanese rock song called Sian Kung Fu Generation Haruka Kanata. Haruka Akanata means far and beyond. And this belongs to Naruto opening second season. So guys, without further ado, if you want to know the translation of the song, I encourage you to go to a website called genius.com and type Asian Kung Fu Generation Haruka Kanata and see the translation of the entire song. So guys, without further ado, this is the Sign Kung Fu Generation Haruka Kanata.
踏み
Well, and this was Xian Kung Fu Generation, Aruka Kanata, which means far and beyond. While I was listening, I was just actually, singing along and just bring back the memories when I used to watching Naruto. Yes, I used to watch anime. I'm not gonna lie, I used to when I was a teenager. It was such a variety of series that I used to watch. And honestly, if you ask me what is nowadays out, I have no clue. So, as you know, no clue whatsoever. So there we go. So just to recap, we learned last week, probably 2 weeks actually, what literary genres exist, what fiction genres also exist, and what it is. We also touched how much words flash fiction, short stories, novellas, and also novels contain. And also we start to see the children's fiction. We started with the different types. We start with the picture books. We start to early reader books as well. We saw the chapter books, and we stopped on the middle grades. And on the middle grade books, I give you examples as well, and we saw the tips to avoid how to write kids books, and how to start writing your children's books as well. And as usual, you have to read the genre that you're writing. You also have your best, well, not precisely better reader, because kids bless them, né? But they're trying to see the spelling. Sometimes they can, I don't know. So, but if you want to know if your kids are going to like the book, can be, in a sense, keep in mind, in a sense, a better reader. So let them read your book, let them immerse in the world, and if they say this is interesting, then perhaps you are in the right track. If they say this is boring, perhaps you should consider at least try to review your book in a more detailed way. We also saw, yes, in the middle grade as well, fiction as well. Keep in mind, this is all about the definition, popular topics on the middle grade, the tone you have to be, the voice as well. And also give you example, tips to write middle grade fiction as well, because there are tips, of course. And also, we actually just finished last week about that. So, now it's time to see the young adult fiction. This is why we're here for our teenagers here today. So, young adult fiction is one of the fastest growing categories of books in publishing. If you have never been interested in writing young adult fiction, you might wonder how it differs from regular adult fiction. There are a few key differences between the two age categories, but there are also some similarities. Sometimes it can almost be tricky to tell which category falls in, especially with protagonists in the 18-19 age range. And so now we're going to see the definition first for the young adult fiction, and see what actually entails the definition, shall we? So, your young adult fiction encompasses number of genres, including contemporary, fantasy, sci-fi, thriller, mystery, historical, romance, and more. As you can see, nothing too, extraordinary for the ordinary adult fiction, as you can see. Young adult genres aren't separated into their respective subgenres in publishing, like they are with adult books. Young adult is in itself a category and imprints that publishing young adult books will publish for many subgenres. Young adult features a protagonist in about 13, 18, sometimes 19-year-old age. Though most young adult tends to focus on the main characters between the ages of 15, 17. So if you want to write a main character for young adult book, keep this in mind. And of course, as usual, reach them out, try to understand how the works. We're going to see this in more in detail, as you're going to see. So, in the broadest terms, young adult fiction incorporates themes that are relevant to teenagers and tends to focus on their personal growth as they find their places in the world. They are centered on family and friendship and firsts. First loves, first kiss, and the first time they are confronting difficult decisions about their morals. First time their morals, ethics, bodies, and minds. They are young, and they definitely don't have all the answers yet. So remember, in terms of themes, this is themes you have to focus. I'm going to say it again. Family and friendship and first love, first kiss, and the first time confronting difficult decisions about their morals, ethics, bodies, and minds. After all, they are just discovering themselves, and also they don't have the answers yet. Again, we shot for young adult, right? It's important to know that just because you have a teenager as a protagonist doesn't automatically mean it's a young adult book. This is where things can get confusing. There are plenty of books that feature teenage or even child protagonists that are actually adult fiction. Some of these include To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, Room by Emma Dogley, and The Kite Runner by Colin Osnick. They are considered children's books because the themes and tone of the novel still fall into the adult category. So, remember that sometimes can get confusing because, yes, it says here, if you have a teenager as a protagonist, doesn't mean he's a young adult, because it cannot. And you're going to see then the other parts of what makes a young adult. And of course, for that, let's start with the audience. So, it's no surprise that young adult books are targeted for young adults, as the title suggests. It's straightforward. Generally speaking, kids prefer to read books where the main characters are 2 or 3 years older than them, like the previous ones, as you remember. That means if you got a 16-year-old main character, your audience spans for about 13 years old and up. And of course, there are many adults who love as well young adult books. It's true, so many adults also read young adults books as well. Young adult books have just as much relevance and importance and just as much to say about the human condition as adult books do. Anyone who says otherwise is just a book snob. And it's true. Just because you as an adult, you're reading a young adult book, doesn't make it lesser than adult book. It might be your preference, you like it. But you don't like it because it's just your preference. And that's okay. Books are books. You know, and if you're not a writer and you write kids' books, it's because perhaps you like, that fantasy behind it, and it brings back to your memories as a child, and that's okay as well. Just want to remind you that it's okay. Young Adult has led the charge on diversity books. It's in Young Adult where you will find more BIPOC, which means Black, Indigenous, and people of color, queer, trans, and disabled protagonists and side characters than in other age group. This actually, yes, I can say here that I have some books that are usually for queer audiences. An example is Boy Queer by George Lester. For example, The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. And She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Kindlin, for example. That's just all young adult books I have in my shelf right now as an adult, as you can see. And not that they're just queer books, but She Drives Me Crazy, one of the protagonists is actually a black kid, so all goes on as it says here. This is likely a direct result of the audience it's targeting. Young people understand the world isn't just made of one kind of person, one who has been vastly overrepresented in publishing for decades and decades, and are eager to not only share their own stories. There's also been a bigger rise in authors who represent marginalized backgrounds in adult books as well, but want to read the authentic portrayals of their lived experiences and the challenges and joys that come from their town. So as you can see, the adult, as majority, if not, this representation straight away. Of course, not all books, but you're going to find a lot of them talking about this. And it's just fascinating because you're telling your kid that it's okay to be who they are. And remember, being your authentic self on my last interview with Lisa. As you can see, all comes together. It's all connected. Nothing is in a vacuum. And with that, before we start to see the tone and start to compare it between young adult and other age groups as well, let's listen to another anime song. I want to confess that I really like this song a lot, but I never watched the anime, and it's really a shame. The anime is called Ergo Proxy. This is the opening music, and this is kind of a gothic atmosphere, but has sci-fi in it as well. It's all very technological, advanced, and that kind of thing. I think it's really so cool. So this singer is called. Let me see here on my things here. Yeah, so it is. Oh well, no, I fly away. So the author. There you go. The author is called Monroe, and the music is called Kitty. So guys, Monroe Kitty Ergo Proxy opening. That was the beautiful, beautiful song, which I really still like as at my 40s. Ergo Proxy opening monologue Kitty. I really, 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 really like this song. It's really so emotional, and I think there is that not by of course I listen a very distinct different from here from what is in the in Spotify, but I just really like it. I don't know, it just really touches deep inside me. I cannot explain why. And definitely one day I have to touch the anime and watch it until the end to see what it all is about, because it just sounds so fascinating. So, we started today to see about young adult fiction. And of course, as you can see, it is for young adult kids. Definition is encompasses different genres that includes contemporary, fantasy, sci-fi, thriller, mystery, historical romance, and the list goes on. As you can see, not much different from your adult fiction. We also see that the most on the book standard tends to focus on main characters between ages 15 and 17 as well. Sometimes to 13 to 18, sometimes 19. So if you're writing a book for a young adult, keep this in mind while you are writing it. Also, we see that the themes they can incorporate in the books are more in personal growth, and they center on family and friendship and first in the first kiss, first love, can be the first time they're confronting difficult decisions, can also be about morals, ethics, their bodies and minds, and etc. etc. We also see the audience, of course, is for them. And we saw that usually they're like characters that they are older than them. So, for example, if you got a 16-year-old main character, your audience spans from about 13 years old and up. Because remember, it goes and also talks about their struggles about self-growth and understanding the world, etc., etc. And also we saw that mostly all young adults, we're going to see self-representation. For example, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, queer and trans people, and disabled protagonists, and the list goes on as well. And this is why, because they understand the world isn't just made up for one kind of person. That have been vastly overrepresented throughout generation, and they are eager to not only to show the stories, because they want to share the stories and they feel connected with them as well. Now let's see the tone for young adults books, because it's going to be very interesting. If you remember correctly, let's come here to my notes here. For middle grade fiction, if you remember, you can touch every topic, although on the surface, but the ending has to be still positive, because you don't want to tell them, the world is mad, people can be evil, etc. So no, we are still in a mindset that they can understand, but we have to still be very positive. Now let's see the tone specifically for young adults. The tone is where you might notice a little difference between a young adult and adult novels. Generally speaking, young adult novels tend to be a bit shorter, because young adult prose can often be more action-oriented than adult books. The tone of young adult books tends to be more immediate, and there's an inevitable quality to it that just seems to sparkle. This is why young adult books tends to use a lot of first-person narration, why young adult books tends to use a lot of first-person narration and third-person limited path. You are in their head, feeling the big things that teenagers feel, and you are growing along with them. And keep in mind, you writing this, I said path, but it means point of view in abbreviation. It means that we can reach out to their minds in the sense of a reader and understand what in the sense the protagonists go through. And this is why it's so, at least, let's say, popular to have a first person. Now, let's compare young adult and other age groups as well. So, let's start adults with young adults. As we said, The themes used in young adult stories are different than prose in adult fiction. Young books focus on problems and issues that tend to affect teenagers, so you get more stories about dealing with friends, parents, and teachers. It's why you find more love triangles and more often ones in one young adult than you do in adult, because teenagers are finding their places in the world. An important thing to note is that young adult fiction doesn't shy away from adult topics like sex, racism, queer and transphobia, prejudice, drugs, death or mental illness. Teens face serious issues every day, and young adult books navigate their way through all these challenges. The difference is young adult is that the descriptions are likely a bit less vivid, either be very mild or fade to black in comparison to adult books, where they can get far more graphic. But the topics themselves can be explored in all their most basic emotion. So, as you can see, while in the adult books we've got more vivid description, we go deeper and deeper to the most traumatic and really horrific experience. And teenagers, we can explore these things, but less vivid, mild or fading to black. That's what to keep in mind. And let's finally note, as we mentioned before, young adult books are often a bit shorter, in 60,000, 80,000 word range for contemporary books and up to 100,000 for fantasy and sci-fi. Generally speaking, world building it's a bit simpler, plots are driven by action and emotion, and dialogue is snappy and, most importantly, echoes how teenage sound. So yes, of course, keep in mind, if you're going to write a young adult book, remember the thing to try not to be over exaggerated, but try to understand how they speak. Listen how teenagers speak. Just stop for a moment and listen. You're probably going to realize more than you think. Just see what they say, the things that they go with each other, and how comfortable they are, etc., etc. That kind of thing. Do not fall for that trap of being, misrepresented or badly represented. So, this is what you have to keep in mind. Why the difference? So now, the difference between adult versus young adult. Neo-adult was supposed to encompass the transition period from teen to adult, including awkward early 20s. New adult fiction combines the best of young adult and adult because it has the sparkle of young adult, but allows for themes and situations more on the adult side. New adult, and this probably have seen it out there, is a genre. It's self-publishing and indie publishers, while the bigger traditional publishers continue to pretend it doesn't exist. You wonder why? I've got no clue either. It's just one of the things that, again, depends what you write, and the publisher, they think it doesn't exist. We know it's not real, so we know it does exist. So, all it does is confuse people, and often you will end up in a bookstore where the staff have no idea, and the book that's definitely new adult turns out to be on young adult bookshelf. And this is why it's very important to accept these changes, because changes are going to happen. And I do agree that we should have shelves with these says teenagers and new adults, young adults and young adults, for us to understand new adult and young adults, because as we can see, new adult is the transition of young adult to adulthood. That's the transition. So I think we still need to really say to push it to actually have that separation, and because it's going to confuse. Because imagine if you're going to buy a book and the book is for new adults. The people are selling and the bookshop may not understand, may not know. If they know, lucky those who got to find, lucky them, they might be very well informed, and probably unfortunately going to see that all together with the young adults, which is a sad reality. But it's how we have. So, the last thing to notice is a big difference between 13-year-old and 18-year-old, yet they are categorized as the same age group. A 13-year-old problems are usually different from 18-year-old, and 9 of it really goes well together. So, again, keep in mind, if you're going to use a young adult, so 13-year-old, what structures they use. For new adults, remember 18 years old plus. So, what more can we actually say? Now, for the middle grade versus young adults, we've shown it on the past 2 weeks, I think. So, middle grade fiction targets a young audience. We have seen that. Aiming for readers in 8 to 13 age range. Just like the difference between adult and young adult, middle grade books focus on themes that are important for kids in their pre-teen years. And we saw which themes were on the last, I believe was past week, I believe if I'm not mistaken. Middle grade books are often written in the third person because they tend to focus on outside factors like a mean teacher or a school bully, rather than the personal growth you get in the young adult category. And this category is where you will also find the most graphic novels, as many readers in this age group are still developing their reading skills as they make the transition from picture books to novels. So it's very interesting. Also saying that they're also in the short ranging to 30,000 to 60,000 words range. So as you can see, it's a transitional, but I'll just say this now. The voice is very different. So here on the middle grade, we've got the third point of view, while as in young adult is more, it's more frequently to see first, the first point of view, which is the why, I, and then etc. So now, with this in mind, we are going, before we see tips for writing young adult fiction, we're going to listen actually another song, but this time it's a K-pop song. I'm going to be honest, I have no clue what's out there, so I have to do just a quick research about it because I know K-pop nowadays is very, very popular. Don't ask me what this is about. I don't know. I'm not familiar with K-pop songs, to be fair. So, the group today, they are called BTS. And the song is Dynamite. And they are a K-pop group. So, guys, without further ado, BTS, Dynamite. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, get the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I get my ping pong. This is dead heavy, can't hear the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat trade like money. This go all alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I go. Hey, so let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so we bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little fucking sun. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, bring a friend, join the crowd, whoever wanna come along. Word up, talk, just move right up the wall. Daylight, sky's the light, so we dance to the break of dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the lesson, so you should keep your eyes on the ball. This is getting heavy, can you hear the bass? Boom, I'm ready. Lavish, sweetest honey, yeah, this beat to chain like money. And this go all alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm down, you know I glow. And let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so we bring the fire, set the night light. Shining through the city with a little fucking soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, dynamite, it's dynamite. Well, I don't know what to say about this because I don't listen K-pop. So this is, guys, K-pop, BTS, Dynamite. If you're listening, I hope you have, just dance by the music. It's definitely very, there's a lot of rhyme and the way that they sing, etc. So it's very interesting, actually. So for those who listen, I hope you guys enjoyed. So before I start to give tips, I'm going back to my teenager when I used to listen anime music as well. Back again. So this time it is actually an anime that probably for you guys now is a bit old, but it's so really cool, and it's called Cowboy Bebop, and the music is called Tank. So I know, for you to guys have an idea, its introduction is absolutely amazing. I really encourage you to go on YouTube and write on Cowboy Bebop opening scene. It is so amazing what they have done. It's so artistically well done because the genre is like a jazz and it's this very rhyme. It's so cool. So guys, without further ado, Cowboy Bebop, Tank.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Well, as I said, I really enjoyed this. Of course, this was the longer version because As you can imagine, the short version, it just wasn't implied. I'm saying short version, but I will love because he's very jazzy and has his his moments of dancing, etc. I would hope you guys enjoyed. I know I still love this intro. I love the artistry behind it and all the music as well. So just to wrap up a little bit, we saw that you started to see the differences between young adult and other age groups. We saw between young adult and adults. We saw the new adult is mostly the transition period from teen to adult, including the awkward early 20s as well. We saw the middle grade is a younger audience, aiming for readers in the 8 to 13 age range. And also the category is also where you find the most graphical novels, as many readers in this age group are still developing their reading skills as they make their transition from picture books to novels. Now, let's see some tips to write for young adult books, for those who are curious to know. So, think like a teenager. The advance of being either a teen, writing a young adult, or an adult writing a young adult is that you either are a teen or you were a teen. Even if you were a teenager a long time ago, some things about growing up just don't change. The music and the clothing and the slang might be different, but the inherent themes of growing up haven't. Teenagers are seeking their place in the world, trying to uncover who they are. They are breaking away from their parents and their families and forging into places on their own. They are thinking about what they want to do when they grow up. They are meeting friends and potential love interests and sexual partners. Being a teenager is about first kiss, first job, first everything. It is what your story should be about. While they are exceptions, generally speaking, your characters should feel like young people without the world of experience to draw on. A 16-year-old wouldn't have the reflection of a 16-year-old, for example. So that means for you to not forget your audience. Learn all these things and learn how teens speak. So, yes, think about the teenager. Think about what you used to be. And just your first. I think the point is your first is your thing you have to do. So your first kiss, your first job, your love interest, etc., etc. The list goes on and on and on. Because they are trying to see their place in the world. Because they just realize, oh, let's say I am a black teenager. I have my world in the place. I have my costumes. The costume people come, sure. But what is my place in this world? This vast, complex world that I'm still trying to see where I belong to. I think this is the focus on these stories. So think like a teenager. The second topic to talk about is develop real characters. As with any genre or novel, you want your characters to have dimension. Young adults' characters need goals and motivation just like a character of any age does. So give some thought to what feels realistic given your setting and your plot. With young adults, it's especially important to be mindful that the goals and motivations fit the age and what's inside the character's control. Young adult stories often revolve around the character finding themselves, seeking out their families, or searching friendship and love. It might be more important in this genre over any other to ensure your character has a fulsome cast of dimensional side characters to go along with them. Teenagers tend to be pretty attached to their friends. And while the parents are often dead, and this is because we don't want mom or dad being responsible and getting in the way a nice and dangerous adventure, they don't have to be. But your characters will often have some kind of mentorship in their life. So, give some thought to what wise sage in their lives who can help them fumble through their conflicts. So, as you can see, give your characters depth. Yes, they are discovering about themselves. They are trying to figure out who they are. but they are very attached to their friends, to their families even. But doesn't mean that the mentor has to be a family member. It can be a teacher. Could be, I don't know, other person as well, or they trainer in the workout with. I don't know, something. But again, they have to be, like in the adult books, they have to be three-dimensional. They have to have complex things. They have to have flaws. They have to have virtues as well. And that's what makes it, that makes the book of teenagers. And the third thing is to find your character's voice. One of the things about young adults is that the main characters often have a lot of voice. They have big personalities and bigger emotions to go along with their wild internal thoughts. The best young adult characters leap off the page. After all, teenagers tend to feel big as they have growing up and finding their place in the world. A lot of young adult is written from first-person POV, as we have seen, because young adult tends to be about character growth and development. There's external plots, but the heart of the young adult is about your character finding their way through the plot and the world around them. Present sentence tends to be popular in young adults as well for similar reasons. Teenagers often fall under the category of act now, think later, and you can use that philosophy to create a dynamic voice for your protagonist. The voice of your character will be affected by word voices, tone, jargon and slang, cadences, sentence slang, repetition, etc. So a side note for this is a quick note on slang terms, especially if you're writing in a contemporary setting. It's easy to veer too far into common vernacular and make your work seem dated very quickly. This might be less of an issue in a historical or fantasy setting, but make sure you are choosing words that young adults will use but aren't also so modern that they will stand out as cringy. Because, for example, 10 years from now, reading published young adult contemporary books is a good way to study this. So keep in mind on your tone of voice, just to sound like a teenager, first of all, of course. Write in the first POV, make them have big personalities, big emotions, etc. Actually be in the present tense, and also, if you're going to use a slang, know which slang they use. And the best way to use that is just to, again, listen to your teenager, see what they have to say, etc. Even if you have kids, perhaps our parents are listening to me right now. If you have a teenage kid, watch them, see what they do, listen what they say with each other. Even between your kids, I don't know, they might, have teenagers, you have two teenager kids. Listen to them. Don't interfere in the conversation. Let them converse between them. Of course, I mean in a very healthy way, of course, because if there is something going on, please be a parent, yeah. But I mean, what they are very healthy between them. Let them have a conversation. If they call themselves, I don't know, something, I don't know. I don't want to say bad words because this can be imply a lot of things. But sometimes kids just call each other names, etc. But it's also in good and fun, of course. So yeah, just do that. Just listen to them and see how they do. So before I start to see the next thing to do about how to write for young adult books, I am going to introduce a very short, but I think it's really, really good because it's a vibrant introduction to one of the... let's say this story is a very interesting one because it's about skating and the couple is actually gay. And I think it was a very awesome story about these two. I think it was that a mentor is about that was learning about skating, and it was just a very beautiful story because they really love each other, and the way they came out with the relationship, it was really amazing and it's very, very sweet. So the anime I'm talking about is Yuri on Ice. The opening scene was what is called History Maker. So guys, with a very interesting title, History Maker, let us all make history. for good purposes in the world, because we all can make history. So, Yuri on Ice opening, history maker.
Can you hear my heartbeat? Tired of feeling never enough. I close my eyes and tell myself that my dreams will come true. There'll be no more darkness when you believe in yourself. You are unstoppable. Where your destiny lies, dancing on the plate, you set my heart on fire. Don't stop that.
Well, that it was Make History from Yuri on Ice anime. It's very short, but I think it's just really so positive, this music. My next song actually, it's a very popular artist, which is Billie Eilish. And the song is Bury a Friend. Now, this is a very, sounds very ominous, Bury a Friend title. But this actually has a very strong connotation. According to her, Bury a Friend is literally from the perspective of the monster under my bed. If you put yourself in a mindset, what is the creature doing or feeling? I also confess that I am this monster, because I am my own worst enemy. I might be the monster under your bed too. So, and because this is a very popular artist, and I think literally everybody actually loves her, because I think she also is very positive and really does really good fight when this is very injustice in the world as well. And I chose this because I was sure this music is actually one of soundtrack of the not probably a teenager thing, but from a true detective show. But again, a young adult can also contain detective stories, so keep this in mind as well. But also keep in mind how you're going to do that is also up to you as a writer. So, as she said, yes, it's about perhaps the most in the bed is yourself. You are fighting against yourself. So, this is Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish.
Billy.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me? When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
Come here.
Say it, spit it out. What is it exactly? Your pain is the amount cleaning you out. Am I satisfactory? Today I'm thinking about the things that are deadly. The way I'm drinking you down, like I wanna drown, like I wanna end me. Step on the glass, staple your tongue. Bury a friend, try to wake up. Cannibal class, killing the sun. Bury a friend, I wanna end me. I wanna end me. I wanna end me. What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me? When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
Listen.
Keep you in the dark. What had you expected? Me to make you my art and make you a star and get you connected. I'll meet you in the park. I'll be calm and collected. But we knew right from the start that you'd fall apart, cause I'm too expensive. To talk would be something that shouldn't be said out loud. Honestly, I thought that I would be dead by now. Calling security, keeping my head held down. Bury the hatchet or bury your friend right now. The debt I owe, gotta sell my soul, cause I can't say no, no, I can't say no. Then my limbs are frozen, my eyes won't close, and I can't say no, I can't say no.
Careful.
Step on the glass, staple your tongue, bury a friend, try to wake up, cannibal clash, killing the sun, bury a friend. I wanna end me. I wanna end me. I wanna end me. What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me? When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
Well, that was Billie Eilish, Bury a Friend. I know perhaps you're thinking about how the hell she says, I want to end me and bury a friend, etc. But as I say, this is like the monster under a bed, and the monster can be yourself. So you can interpret it as you are your worst enemy, and because things are trying to find themselves in the world, they also have this monster with them that sometimes we do not see. And sometimes when they need help, it is when we need to reach them out and ask what they need, or if there is any help they need, because they go through a lot of problems as well, just like adults do. Of course, the problems are different. And I think this is why, again, bringing music talks about this stuff is very important as well. So it's not about and you, it's about, for example, ending perhaps a part of ourselves that we need to grow. I remember that teenagers is a transition of growing to adulthood, at least for, well, teenagers, the new, new adult, remember, they are going for that transition of a new adult, which is then for the adult side. So it's all compensated, all connected, so I just want to bring this out as well to make myself clear, because there can be misunderstandings, I understand. So with this, and we are not going to touch very much, but just to recap, we start to see the things to write the young adult fiction is to think like a teen. So you have to think about what concerns, struggles the teenagers go, and perhaps it's not going to be so much different from nowadays, though I will say that maybe the back of the days one probably I used to be a teenager is not going to be the same as it right now, with so much this technology evolving and rapidly putting in our faces, etc. Perhaps there is some kind of differences, but in general speaking, perhaps there are not so much. And the things that you need to remember if you're going to write for teens, you think like a teen. First, your first kiss, your first love, and how you reacted. But was the euphoric emotion you was inside, or perhaps you're not so much euphoric. Perhaps you feel no attraction whatsoever. So, and this probably talking about of asexuality, which is somebody who is not interested in the fact they do not see themselves, at least in a romantic relationship speak. Of course, there are also the spectrums on the sexuality, but in general speaking. So, and the second thing is to develop a real character. So, even though you are writing a young adult character, does not mean they don't have to have a personality. They have to have, like any character for any book, flaws and virtues, for them to be, two-dimensional, because you keep in mind they are very attached to their friends, to their family. And remember to put on their story a mentor, someone that is a mentor to guide in their lives, because they rely on that for them to understand their place in the society, in the world, because they are developing themselves. And so the other thing, as we touched, is to find the character's voice. And the character's voice means writing in the first person, because it what does is, when you write in the first person, it brings that moment for you as a reader to be in their minds and to understand what they're going through. As to be different sentences, obviously, so in the current one, in the current on the right here, right now, because as you see, they write on dash and on right now, and do actions first and ask questions later, more in the less, so to speak, with this. And also, if you're going to use slangs again, know the slangs you're going to do, but also see if it fits on the story as well, because again, you might find that a teenager is going to read your book, they're going to say, why this story so many slangs? It doesn't make sense. So, at the end of the day, it's your choice as a writer. So, you do what you think is best. This is just, an advice. So, the third aspect to remember while writing a young adult book is to don't fear the darkness and remember the darker themes to explore. So, you're writing for kids, so there's a temptation to shy away from hard topics. But it isn't doing you any favors. Kids face tough things every single day. And pretending otherwise, it's not only going to come off as an authentic, it will feel patronizing. Kids experience bullying and depression and grapple with questions around drugs, alcohol, and sex. They swear to a lot, everything in moderation. Substituting other words can definitely feel like you are feeling fake. They have got ranging hormones and difficult relationships to contend with their parents, friends, teachers, and who they are attracted to. Teens are aware of and explore the gender and sexuality that some elder millennials thought too. Baby boomers won't even have known the vocabulary for them. Sometimes you still don't. This is where research is going to be key. Read a lot of young adult books before trying to write young adult books. Modern teenagers are probably more grown up than we have been thanks to their easy access to literally every bit of information in the entire universe. If you don't give them something to relate to, something that they to struggle with their lives, then you're going to lose them. And what says here is to lose a good reader for the rest of your life. So, yes, you're writing for kids, but do not shy away from darkness themes. That says here. Because they also face these struggles, as I have explained. Because remember, they are in the raging hormones, difficult relationships, and they're trying to contact with their parents, friends, teachers, and who they are attracted to as well. So, we have to keep this in mind writing them. For example, if you have an example of a friend of a friend, a kid of a friend, or of your own child, what an inspiration from that. And let them read your story and see what they react. Because they're going to tell you, this sounds pretentious. I'm going to say, I relate to this. This is what I've been growing up with. I relate to this, yes. And what is the best way to know is if the kid says, yes, yeah, I can relate to this, you are in a good track. So, the fifth topic to remember as well is end on a high note. At the same time, you want to end your story on a hopefully note. Generally, young adults doesn't end in only tragedy, and while it might not have a happy ending per se, there should be something that shines the light of positivity for your real characters. Even if their best friend dies, they might have another friend who helps them to see the good in the world, for example. Yes, absolutely. Yes, we are going to explore these darker so, for example, the death of a friend or of a family. But if you have another character that says, hey, there is more to it, you can come out of that very, low energy that you are right now, and it can help you to go through that. Who knows if the next mentor for your character might be a professional therapist or a psychologist. It could be. So who knows? I don't know. It's your story. Come up with your ideas. See what teenagers nowadays face and what are their problems, so they can relate to your book. And that's what matters at the end with these books. And the second last topic to discuss is don't be preachy. Like from the other ones as well, for the middle grade, don't be preachy. Think back to when you were a teenager. How much did you just love it when old people told you what to do? The answer is no. You didn't like it, generally speaking. So don't talk down to the readers, and definitely don't try to teach moral lessons through your writing. Explore serious topics and themes and let your readers come to their own thoughts and conclusions about them. So yes, like the middle grade readers, your teenagers are very smart. Again, think your teenagers as extremely smart people, because we all know they know everything right now. They are exposed to everything possible. Sometimes I will say far too much. Definitely far too much. Definitely far too much. Definitely far too much. And you should also protect them and, have our hand on them. But in a sense, like, to protect them and say, look, this is dangerous. I will advise you to this and this and this and that. But in the books, don't try to preach them. Because did you like when your parents told you back in the days, do this, do that, Did you like it? Bob, your mind says right now, yes, but back in the day, but we say, why do I do that? Why? No. Think about all these times. Don't try to preach your young adult book. Don't try to preach them. Let the stories speak for themselves. Let the characters grow. Let the plot speak for themselves. And they're going to figure that out. They're going to. They are smart. The last and thing to notice is study young adult tropes. And this is true. The genre loves tropes, finding out which ones are the most popular. So, again, to find out the tropes, seek out young adult genre books, read them, and figure out which tropes are present in the book. And that's pretty much the at least tips to write young adult fiction that I found on the internet. And before I just start to wrap up the things that we've said today, which is quite a lot, not a lot, but you're gonna see there's a lot of things to encapsulate here. You need a lot of research. Remember that whatever your genre is on the writing, you need to research. You need a lot of research. There's no questions. There's no questions about that. Now, the way you deliver, you're going to have to explore. You have to write a lot. You have to understand how the things the mind works nowadays, etc. Although teenagers doing it, etc. Reach them out. When you're finished, even you finished your book, before publishing, reach them and ask them, what do you think about this book? Let them read. The time they need, 1 month, weeks, whatever. And they're gonna tell you. So don't treat them like little kids. They are still kids, but now they understand more about it. They're trying to find themselves, as we have seen it today. And I am going to play a rap song. I actually like the song. It's Cry No More. This is probably going to be popular for people listening to me. It is with Heady One features Stormzy. And I think there is just one bad word, but that's pretty much it. There's not much a lot in them. But it really is very interesting, this song. And pay closely attention, because this is rap in its most raw form. It's about rhyming and rhyming each verse. And just listen, everything rhymes so smoothly. And the artist of rap. So guys, Cry No More by Heady One and with featuring Stormzy.
Nobody don't wanna cry no more.
You a fool for this.
Nobody don't wanna die no more. I'm sure nobody don't wanna go hide no more.
All your tears
You don't wanna go caught off the line no more.
Take you what the fuck up, nigga.
Nobody don't wanna cry no more. I seen years go by, but band been flying more. Sometimes you gotta lose the battle just so you can win the war. You gotta go back and forth from the court to the roast the court. Two new wax, we play an expensive sport. Me and bro cut into the hood, Lamborghini Aventador. I know it's a two-seat, but they say less is more. I lost so much beats, feel like I need a pedicure. First still coming with questionnaires. How can I live my life in fair? I came up, now my wrist is shedding tears. I got this hunting filled with Nina bells, I don't know if death is near. Got me a up by tour, bro, let me do stats, come like he the engineer. 15 with a sawn off long like a bottle of Belvedere. Next thing I'm in H&P, I really had to get mail in there. You know work got sold on the road, I made work still selling there. I see niggas first start singing like Ella Air. Nobody don't wanna cry no more. Nobody don't wanna die no more. I'm sure nobody don't wanna go hard no more.
Yeah.
You don't wanna go caught off the line no more.
Yeah. I wasted $1 million on drip, all I rock is gym wear. 4 bags on t-shirts, 2 bags on skincare. I gotta keep my skin clear. I don't know about cues, just walk straight in there. You sing that Ashake song with your chest, but you niggas ain't been here. At the top it's me. It gets lonely sometimes and I look down to a sigh of relief. Cool. My flow's tight like Gage and Fee. I'm a grown-ass man, I don't do one side, I do wait and see. I put 2 plates on the side of the game, lay down on my back, then bench it. All you can do with your fist is clench it. I might Dave and cinch it. Take a look at these diamonds wrong, then a man are gonna turn you sprinter. I do the Uno reverse, my ski or summer do beach and winter. I just laugh when they say that I can't go higher. I'm a frequent flyer. My last album's cold, my new one's fire. I might call it Maya. I got back pain and I got neck pain, cause I got the weight of the game on my shoulder. Kept saying that it weren't no fluke, I was young like you, now I gotta be Yoda.
Nobody don't wanna cry no more.
We don't.
Nobody don't wanna die no more. I'm sure nobody don't wanna go hard no more. You don't wanna go caught off the line no more.
And well, this one was the Heady One features Stormzy, Cry No More. Yes, I wanted to share this one mostly because rap is very popular. Even American is a very popular genre as well. And I just really like how rappers can have this sense of rhyme and tempo, etc. Because if you notice how they spoke flows so effortlessly. Of course, effortlessly, I mean, there's time and hours to perfect this stuff. But can you imagine doing all this stuff yourself? I know personally, it would cry me a lot. But this is wrap up for you guys. And I think the next song I'm going to show, it is called... it's actually from, let's see here on the thing. Yeah, Misky, Goodbye, My Danish Sweetheart. I think this is, I cannot really see, well, I didn't see this much, but I think it's a very interesting one. Just to share and to bring a little bit back to all this, anime, very energetic stuff, and all this with the rap as well, a little bit with some, all this stuff I've been showing you. And this, I think, is the calmer one. So, without further ado, Smithy, Goodbye, My Danish Sweetheart.
There's nobody better than you. It It took me a while till I knew. But you knew from the start it was us, didn't you? It just took me a while till I knew. Now I lay as I study a blank wall. Would you spare me your voice if I call? 'Cause you waited and watered my heart till it grew. You just grew a little smarter too. So I don't blame you if you want to bury me in a memory. I'm not the girl I ought to be, but maybe when you tell your friends, you can tell them what you saw in me and not how I turned out to be. There's some kind of burning inside me. It's kept me from falling apart. And I'm sure that you've seen what it's done to my heart, but it's kept me from falling apart. Now here I lay as I wonder about you. Won't you just tell me what I'm meant to do? 'Cause I've waited and watered my heart till it grew. You can see how it's blossomed for you. And I don't blame you if you want to bury me in a memory. I'm not the girl I ought to be, but maybe when you tell your friends, you can tell them what you saw in me and not the way I am. And I don't mean to make your heart blue, but when you want to be, I'm just about to beg you please. And then when you tell your friends, you can tell them what you saw in me and not the way I used to be. 'Cause there's nobody better than you.
Well, this was Misky, Goodbye, My Danish Sweetheart. As I said, it was very calm, so I would hope that these guys have enjoyed. So yes, just now, wrap up everything we've learned about writing for young adults. So, first of all, young adults tend to be a bit shorter, falling into 60 to 80,000 word range for contemporary books, going up to 100,000 for fantasy and sci-fi settings. Generally, you want the world building and backstory to be a bit simpler for young adults. You don't need pages and pages of these details. Focus on your characters and their interactions. Young adult is all about personal growth and those character arcs that see your protagonist grow up. Young adult fiction relies heavily on tropes. The chosen one, the prophecy, the love triangle, bringing down the bully, the one who saved the day. Lean into it. This is what this audience wants. If you have access to some teenagers, as I've been saying, as if they will read your work and provide feedback on the believability of your language and situations. No one is more brutally honest than teenagers, so be prepared for some critical but useful feedback. And for young adult books, that's it. That's pretty much it. There's not much to tell you. This is what I found on the internet. Mind you, a website for writers, which I'm going to tell you once I finish all these going to details about the good things that makes a good book. I'm going to tell you when I got the information so you guys can also see for yourselves as well. So what we're going to see from the next genre? Sci-fi fiction. And it's going to be interesting for me to try to find sci-fi music. I have probably to have go back and soundtrack of videos maybe. I don't know. I'm going to see myself what's going to lead me. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not much to tell. So now I'm just going to show some music in general. So now, my next song is actually pretty good. I think it's a very positive one. I think there is a touch of I think country, but it's not that much. So it's Noah Kahan, Northern Attitude.
settle down. You're feeling right, you're feeling proud. How are your kids? Where are they now? You build a boat, you build a life. You lose your friends, you lose your wife. You settle in to routine. Where are you? What does it mean?
Bought some shit, search online. You're getting lost, you're getting high. Roll up, lady in light. Scared to live, scared to die. You build a boat, you build a life. You lose your kids, you lose your wife. You settle down, you're feeling lost. You're getting stoned, then kicking rocks. If I get too close, then I'm not how you hoped. Forget my northern attitude. Oh, I was raised out in the cold. If the sun don't rise till the summertime, forget my northern attitude. Oh, I was raised on the line. You get too close, and I'm not how you hoped. Forgive my northern attitude. Oh, I was raised out in the cold. If the sun don't shine till the summertime, forgive my northern attitude. Oh, I was raised on little light.
And that was Noah Kahan, Northern Attitude. As I said, it was the song was much more different and definitely much more it's calm but also very vibrant at the same time. So I hope you guys really have enjoyed. Now my next song is going to be another anime again, and this anime is very interesting. The music is really exciting and vibrant, but the theme is so interesting because it's like someone's in a purgatory. And they go through all of these, I think, back and forwards in their lives, if I remember this very correctly. And imagine the purgatory. The OLC is a bartender. So if you can see the imagination of these people, about just serving you in the purgatory, you're just there with your life, see other people as well coming and go. So of course stuff happens with the characters and they're all connected. So I just found this very interesting little detail. And according to some, the music is called Flyers, and this is from, let me see here in my, it's from Radio, and it's from That Parade, which is an anime called That Parade. So if you want to know, you can go to the internet and see, because it's going to be again being Japanese, so, but I can read you at least the short part of the story. It goes like, everybody put your hands up. Now flying become the wings. I would like to see you be preoccupied. You're still in your growth period, heading to the new world. So, with this energetic song, and perhaps a very interesting way to be in a place like our souls can still be just waiting and waiting. For a bartender just being with us and say, hi, easy drink, just relax, while you're still waiting for your judgment. Internet speak, of course. I present to you That Parade opening, Opening Eyes by Radio. Oh. Well, this was that part of opening. Flyers by Bradium. Yeah, this is pretty much very energetic. It's up. I was just watching here the how the he had on YouTube they put this stuff, and it's not just bartender. We can also play cards and trump and the darts. So basically, probably like a casino stuff. So imagine your purgatory is like a casino. You can have fun, but also you have to wait for a joint. So I think it was just a very interesting concept as well. And yes, the bartender is with you offering drinks. Yes, every time. So the next song is a old one, but I think it's really, really, really good one. It's a song that really shows that, because I just really have no idea what I wanted to specifically, again, to show, because we're going about the young adults books, etc. I want to just try to match the vibe. I just try my best to do it. Again, I have no idea what they listen all day, so I'll try my best to do that. So, and what this is Goo Goo Doll Iris. So it just show as well, yes, that teenage people also listen very old back music, because yes, I imagine they listen like everybody else. So anyway, Goo Goo Dolls Iris.
Know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now.
Well, I don't need to introduce to you or say about anything. I'm pretty sure you guys know Goo Goo Dolls, Iris song. Yes, it's been a while, this song, but I think it just really shows that the good song still, it's forever. It doesn't go away. It's not a moment. It goes forever. Well, my next set of song, and I set off because again, it's another opening anime that I used to watch when I was a teenager. It's called Trigon. In fact, yes, it is an opening for Trigon. So, without further ado, this is an anime about guns and gun shooters, etc. Not your gun shooter as like in games, but like people having guns, etc. There's a story, I think it's like kind of a cowboy vibe, but it's not about cowboys either. So it's like a very interesting thing. So without further ado, guys, Trigon opening. Well, that was Trigon.